Okay, so you think you know cats, right? Like Persians all stretched out like royalty and Siamese with their super loud meows and maybe your classic tabby just chilling on the couch.
Yeah.
But get this, back in 2017, the Cat Fanciers Association,
Mhm.
they actually said one breed was the rarest out of all 41 that they like recognize officially.
Mm.
And the name is kind of surprising. It was the American Wirehair.
Really?
Yeah, the American Wirehair, it sounds like it should be way more common, you know? But that's exactly what we're going to like dig into today. You're here because you want to learn fast and learn a lot, and that's what we do.
Exactly. And we have this awesome article. It goes deep on these cats, everything from their crazy coat to like their whole personality.
Right.
And like always, the goal is to break it all down and really get the American Wirehair, what makes them special, why they might be the perfect pet for some people, and even like why they're still so rare.
All right, so first things first, where did these like wiry cats even come from? Forget about ancient bloodlines or like exotic islands. These guys are pure American.
Totally. We're talking upstate New York back in 1966. Wow. And it all started with what they call a spontaneous genetic mutation in a litter of just normal farm kittens.
Hmm.
So think about that. Regular kittens, and boom, one pops out with this totally weird, wiry coat, like a little evolution surprise.
So this is where it gets really cool. That this wasn't some mutation happening all over the world. This specific gene thing that makes their fur all crimped, it hasn't shown up anywhere else.
Right. It's a true American original in the cat world.
That is so cool.
What's fascinating is how breeders, they saw that first kitten and they're like, whoa, this is special. We got to make more of these.
Yeah.
It wasn't just some fluke. They really worked to keep those traits going. And even with that, they're still not that common.
Mhm.
It shows you how hard it is to keep a gene like that going, and maybe people just aren't as into them as other breeds.
So rare, American. But what really makes them stand out is that coat. The article says it's coarse, thick hair that is rough to the touch and wiry in appearance.
Yeah.
It's like straight up, you could practically feel it just from the description.
Totally. And it's not just like a little wave here and there. We're talking full-on crimp fur. Every hair is bent or wavy. Even their ears have that wiry feel.
Oh, wow.
And get this, some of them even have curly whiskers.
What?
Yeah, curly whiskers. I didn't even know cats could have that. It's like the ultimate texture experience.
Definitely not your typical soft and fluffy kitty. But besides the fur, what's their body like?
They're medium-sized and muscular, usually between 8 and 12 pounds, and about 9 to 11 inches tall.
Okay.
So not tiny, but not huge, like a Maine Coon,
Yeah.
Nice and solid.
And what about colors? The article mentions a bunch like solid black, white, blues, reds, even fancy patterns like chinchilla, smoke, calico, tabby, bicolor.
Yep.
So lots of variety, even though the texture is the main thing.
Exactly, and we can't forget their eyes. They're big and tilt up a little, which makes them look super alert, and they can be blue, green, or gold, all matching their fur perfectly.
Now, this is a big one for a lot of people. The whole hypoallergenic thing, the article talks about it. And we got to be clear.
Yeah.
Hypoallergenic doesn't really apply to any cat, 100%.
Yeah. Right. But the way the American Wirehair's fur is all crimped, it kind of traps the loose hairs closer to their body.
Mm-hmm.
So some people with allergies might have less of a reaction compared to a cat that sheds everywhere, but it's not a guarantee.
The article says it's always best to spend time with the breed before you commit. Everyone's allergies are different.
For sure. And the article compares them to American Shorthairs a lot, saying that they're pretty similar in shape and size, but the fur is the big difference.
Got it. So if you have the short hair, the Wirehair's build won't be a surprise.
Right.
Okay, so they look unique, but what about personality? Are they like prickly too with that wiry coat?
Not at all. From what we read, they're total sweethearts, loving, laid back, easygoing.
Okay.
Seems like they could fit into all kinds of homes.
The article says they get along with other cats,
Yeah.
dogs, kids, families, even seniors. That's pretty adaptable.
Yeah, it's awesome to find a breed that can handle a busy house with kids and other pets. That's a big deal for a lot of people.
For sure. And they're super affectionate, probably bonding with everyone in the family, not just picking one favorite.
Exactly.
But are they just couch potatoes? What about smarts and energy?
They're smart and playful. They like those interactive toys with their humans, which is always good for bonding.
Yeah.
But they're also cool just playing by themselves, so it's a good balance. They'll hang out with you, but they don't need constant attention. The article says their playfulness is medium and their energy is calm, which sounds about right.
And when they're not playing, are they lap cats?
Oh, yeah. The article says they love to cuddle. They're sweet, gentle, friendly family pets. So definitely lots of snuggles, if that's your thing.
What about busy people? Are they needy?
Actually, the article says they're pretty low maintenance because they're independent.
Okay.
They're fine being alone for a bit, so that could work for people with busy schedules, but of course they still need love and attention when you are home.
And are they noisy, like meowing all night?
Doesn't sound like it. They're described as chill and patient. They mostly communicate with body language, not meows, so good for apartments where you don't want to bother the neighbors.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Now, the classic cat thing, hunting. Few wire hairs have that instinct.
Oh yeah, big time. The article calls them true mousers. They're born to hunt, even without real mice. They might be glued to the window, watching birds, or going crazy for those toys that make them feel like they're hunting.
All right, so we know how they look, act. What about keeping them happy and healthy? That coat seems like a lot of work.
Actually, no, it's pretty easy.
Really?
Yeah, the article says too much brushing can actually hurt their weird, wiry fur, so you only really gotta brush when they're shedding a lot.
So less is more with the comb.
Exactly. A bath now and then helps with loose fur and keeps the coat from getting oily. But other than that, it's the usual nail trims, ear cleaning, teeth brushing.
What about exercise? Are they bouncing off the walls all the time?
They're like most cats, bursts of energy, then a nap.
Yeah.
Toys, a cat tree, some playtime with you. That's all they need to stay happy and fit.
And training, are they stubborn?
Nope. They're smart and pretty easy to train. They get the whole scratching post thing right away. And litter box training is usually a breeze. Socializing them early is important, though, so they grow up friendly and comfortable around people and other animals.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, food, super important. What's the deal with feeding a wire hair?
The usual high-quality cat food, the article really stresses good food and not overfeeding to prevent them from getting chubby, which happens to lots of indoor cats.
True.
Yeah.
So what about health? How long do they live, and any problems to watch out for?
They usually live a good long life, 10 to 16 years, and they're generally healthy.
That's good.
But there are a couple things the article mentions: hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, that's a heart problem, and hip dysplasia, which can make it hard for them to get around.
Oh,
So yeah, stuff to keep in mind.
definitely something to think about if you're considering this breed.
Absolutely. The article says to find breeders who test their cats for these problems and to take your cat to the vet regularly. Cause some problems don't show up until later.
All right, before we wrap up, let's hit some fun facts just to really get the American wire hair. Maybe you'll have some cool stuff to tell your friends.
Okay.
Like we said, they were named the rarest breed by the Cat Fanciers Association back in 2017. So even though they're a recognized breed, they're not common at all.
Wow.
And I love this. Some people say their coat feels like steel wool.
Still.
Yeah, super hard and springy. You can really imagine it's steel wool. You wouldn't want to pet them with that.
No kidding.
And last thing the article says, they often get mistaken for American Shorthairs, and sometimes they're even bred together, which makes sense. They have similar origins and body type, but that coat is the big giveaway.
Yeah.
So putting it all together, what are the big things about the American Wirehair?
For me, it's got to be that origin story. You know, one random genetic thing created this whole new breed right here in America. And then there's that coat. So weird, so easy to take care of, and they're such sweethearts. Super chill, but independent too. And the fact that they're still kind of rare, even though they're a recognized breed, makes them even more interesting.
Totally. And hopefully, for everyone listening, this deep dive has given you a good, solid understanding of the American Wirehair. We covered a lot, from their beginnings to their personality to how to take care of them.
It really makes you think. You know, with that rare mutation and those specific traits just appearing out of nowhere, are there other weird animal breeds out there that we haven't discovered yet with stories just as cool? It's amazing to think about what else might be hiding in the animal kingdom.
That is a great question.
Yeah, who knows what else is out there.
All right, well, that's it for our deep dive on the American Wirehair. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time.
See you.